Welcome back to another episode of the Digital Wrap Up. My name is Riley, and I'm the host, and I'm the CEO of Harden Digital and Design. Today, we're going to be talking about all things social media, kind of giving a recap of our year last year at Harden Digital and Design, and then talk about some things moving forward into 2024, things we're looking forward to, hopefully, some trends that we will predict and hopefully be right. But I'm happy to be joined today by Hannah, who is one of our account managers, and she does a lot of social media work for us. So, welcome to the show, Hannah.
Thanks for having me back. It's been a little while, so got to get back in the groove here.
Yeah, had Kaylee on for several episodes in a row, so figured we would drag Hannah into it as well. But um, one of the things we're going to talk about today is not necessarily a bunch of tips and tricks for people managing social media accounts, but just some of our favorite projects or maybe even just favorite videos. It doesn't have to be a full project or anything necessarily, but just some of the more fun things that we did because at the end of the day, social media should be fun. Creating content, it is a job, but it's still better than most jobs, I would say. So hopefully, we have some fun projects to talk about, and then we'll also talk about Hannah's first full year as a social media manager. She'd done some stuff on the side before, and not necessarily side, but just not necessarily full time either. So we'll get into how that went for her. And then, yeah, 2024, we're already here, but hopefully it'll be a year full of new things and people not just being the same old boring posts and graphics and lame stuff on social media. So we're going to talk about what we're looking forward to as well. Before we get into that, though, as always, if you want to watch and see our smiling faces on the screen while you're watching and listening to the digital wrap up, you can check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/@hardendigital. That it's youtube.com/@hardendigital. And you will see both Hannah and I there and check out the studio. We've upgraded some equipment, some systems, and made the podcast experience better for all, hopefully. So, without further ado, Hannah, let's get into it and talk social media in 2023. Um, First thing is favorite project, or if you have a bigger project overall, or just some memorable videos or posts that you created. What are some of your bigger ones there?
Kind of a twofold answer here. I guess with the social media management stuff, I don't really have like a specific project per se, but I do have a couple of clients and events that I did for them that kind of stood out to me in 2023. First off, shout out to Anchor Health Chiropractic in Noblesville. By far my favorite client to work with throughout 2023. It is so fun to work with them. Great group of people there. They kind of just give me the reins and do whatever I tell them to do. When I come up with some funny video ideas for them, they are all for it. So it's been super fun to work with them. They're just one location, one brick and mortar location, but we were able to get them over 1 million impressions on social media in the last year, which was a huge improvement from where they were before. So pretty proud about that. We did have a TikTok video that got like I think it's over 116,000 views now. Um, a few in the 15 to 20,000 view range, like on Instagram and some on TikTok as well. So love to see when the videos take off like that. Some of them were more of an educational piece. Some of them were more on the fun side of things, just following along with some trends. So we like to mix it up there. So that's just one of my favorite, I guess, projects throughout the year. One of the more, I guess, meaningful projects that I worked on was for the Good Samaritan Network of Hamilton County, a local nonprofit that we work with. Um, they host an event every fall, usually late November, mid-November, called Festival of Trees. And this is their biggest fundraiser of the year, to raise money for support to local families in need. And really their only means, for the most part, of getting the information out about this event is through Facebook. They don't use any other social media platforms. Not much other advertisement goes into it, so it kind of falls on me, promoting it on Facebook. But this year was their 10th annual Festival of Trees and their biggest one yet. Throughout the promotions that we did, I think starting in August, so like 2 or 3 months before, we were able to the event was able to raise over $100,000 this year, which was a huge, like, milestone for them, especially on their 10th anniversary. So, it's gone up every single year. They've raised more and more money, and we've been doing more promotions for it every year. So, really proud to be able to help them out with that and help them raise more money to help out our local community.
Awesome. Going back to Anchor Health, and we can talk about Good Samaritan Network later, but um, you mentioned the getting free reign to kind of run with ideas on social media. That's not always the case with every client, right? Sometimes it's we have to create content, send it over for approval, and then they have lots of changes. Sometimes it's we send it over for approval and we don't hear back. Can you talk about that process with them? Is it really just you come up with ideas and run with it, or do you kind of go through approval process
With
as
Anchor
well?
Health specifically?
Yep.
With Anchor Health specifically, it's just all on me, like, they trust me to do what I think is best for them, which I like. I mean, obviously, if they see something that they don't like, they'll let me know. If said something wrong or did, post at the wrong time or something, they'll let me know and I can edit it or, save it for later, something like that. But, for the most part with them, haven't had any issues with the not getting stuff approved ahead of time, and they've loved all the content that we've come up with.
Good. Um, Looking back, what was one of your more favorite videos to make from last year?
Oh boy. One specific, well, I like making the videos for them that include, like, kids or, like, babies. They, are a pediatric chiropractic office as well, so anytime you can get kids involved, the kids can just be super cute or say the silliest things,
Yeah.
and that tends to also do well on social media. Um I also like putting them in weird situations where I'm just gonna tell them when we go in for our monthly recording, say, "Hey, I have a couple fun videos. I can't tell you about it ahead of time because I want your true, like, honest reactions to what I'm having you do. I don't want you to be able to do any research ahead of time." So they have fun with that, and I like to surprise them and keep them on their toes with stuff like that.
Speaking of videos, we used to, or you used to post on Twitter for them. Can you talk about that experience? Because I know that was something that changed this year. Not
Yes.
necessarily because of all the changes with Elon Musk or anything, but some things that happened there pertaining to Anchor Health specifically.
Yeah, so we have had some clients in 2023 that decided to stop using Twitter or X because of Elon Musk and the politics surrounding that. Anchor Health decided about midway through the year to stop using Twitter for a different reason, though. We were getting videos to go viral on Twitter, and by that I'm saying they were 250 to 300,000 views.
More than TikTok and Instagram.
Oh, yeah, a lot more, but they were negative views, and by that, I mean, there's a whole side of, the chiropractic, I guess, or not chiropractic, but kind of the healthcare field in general. Part of that field, doesn't believe in chiropractic care,
Mhm.
or they think that when they see children getting chiropractic care, they think that it's hurting them. So a lot of negative stuff came out about that, and obviously we're not, even though we're reaching, a half million people on Twitter, it's not the half million that we want to reach. So it just came out to be a really negative thing, and we're trying to keep everything very positive and uplifting, educational. So because of that, we decided to stick with Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, where we did see a lot of the positive responses and outcomes with that.
Yeah, and I'm going to cover the camera real quick. The lights keep flashing weird. It's only showing up on the video. It's not actually flashing in the
I
room.
was about to
So
say
if
I
you're
haven't seen it
watching on
flashing.
YouTube, I apologize. But um quick sidebar there. Yeah, so you're getting a lot of times people in the marketing PR field say they're like any press is good press, but like yes, it's spreading, but it was just a headache, the constant negativity. If it was local followers and local people that are at least becoming aware of the office and could potentially come in, sure. But there's Twitter people all over the US that they were never going to be actual customers or patients or practice members as they call them. So
They're just keyboard warriors
yeah,
out for the
and
out for
you've
the hate. Yeah, I feel like on Twitter in general, a lot of times can just kinda brew up some negativity, and so I just kind of fed off of that.
yeah. Um, do you remember specifically which videos went the biggest on TikTok?
Um, the one that has 116 or so thousand views is an adjustment for a baby. I believe it was a 4-week-old baby girl.
Mm,
Talk with Dr. Mitch talking about why babies should be adjusted, how the adjustment for babies go. So that one reached a lot of people. A couple of our other videos on TikTok that are around the 20,000 or so views also involve younger children or babies as well.
yeah,
And
and
that's like a whole side of, like, chiropractic that I personally didn't even know existed, and so I think when we talk more about it and more people become aware of it, they start talking about it more, and
yeah,
they're asking questions about the possibilities, and how it could help, like, 'cause their child's in a similar situation that we're talking about in the video, and they're asking, "Is there a local chiropractor or something that could help them?" So, it's gone viral, but in a good way that way
yeah.
on TikTok.
I mean, there's still negative comments every so often, but yeah, kind of have to live with it. And Dr. Mitch and his team are really good about they understand that there's that negative sentiment out there. So when that comes in on any platform, he's really cool about it, and he's just like, "Hey, I mean, it gets more people talking about us, so be it." Like there's I know like some clients could definitely be scared of all that negativity and all that, but Dr. Mitch kind of just embraces it and
He does, yeah.
knows, hey, we're at least spreading. They're going to be talking about it to their friends and then their friends, and who knows, that might lead to somebody who actually does need help and they've been on the fence about giving us a try. And so I don't think everybody's like that. So we're fortunate to be able to work with Dr. Mitch, who is like that. Um, the I guess one of the things that I've always thought about with TikTok specifically is that it's not very good about local targeting, or you don't get a lot of local leads per se, not necessarily full on leads, but with Anchor Health, it's kind of been a little different in the sense that they track when new practice members come in, where these practice members found Anchor Health, and they've specifically gotten new members from TikTok, right?
Yeah, and that was surprising to me. Like you said, you don't typically think of TikTok as a localized, or regionalized platform. Think of that more with Facebook and Instagram.
Mhm.
But they did have at least 2 families, specifically mention that they found us on TikTok,
Yeah.
and came to the practice that way, and there were dozens of others that just said, like, social media or online. So there
Mhm.
could have been more than that as well, they just maybe
They
not
weren't as
were as
specific.
specific
Yeah.
in what they wrote down on their form. But yeah, TikTok has actually led to some families becoming practice members, turning into business for the chiropractic office.
Yeah. That's awesome. Going back to um, Good Samaritan Network, that one, in terms of working with clients, has been a little different in the sense that you send over posts for approval. Can you talk about that process and how it's been? There has been some downsides, but generally in the past year, it's gotten better.
Mhm.
Just talk about that process and how it works.
Yeah, so usually between like either Wednesday or Thursday, I will have posts drafted up for the following week, and I'll go ahead and email those over to the Good Samaritan Network to their staff that's kind of in charge of approving the post and see if there's any changes, if there's any, upcoming events that they really want to highlight. So I'll send them kind of a document with the drafted captions and images or videos, whatever I have for them that week. and usually by the end of the week, they will respond back and say, "Looks great, good to go." And that's the response like 95% of the time.
Mhm.
If I don't hear back from them at all, I just go ahead and run the posts and haven't had any issues doing that either. I'd rather, have posts out there and like ready to go. And if they do come back and say, "Hey, let's not run this or run it next week," or just a minor change, then I can go back and edit it because they just use Facebook. So it's fairly easy to edit if need be. Haven't had any issues with it though. So it's kind of like a no news is good news kind of thing
Yeah.
because I know they're obviously very busy helping out people in the community. So they don't always have time for it, which is why I'm helping them out with their social media in the first place. So.
Yeah. Before we move on to 2024 predictions and things that you're looking forward to, you also started working. This one might, it's not the same as Anchor Health in terms of creating content in person, but getting back to your roots of being a meteorologist, you started working with a forecasting weather company, not necessarily like a news station or the National Weather Service, but a weather related company in 2023.
Yeah, which has been super fun, because if you guys didn't remember before, I my background is in meteorology. I did work for the National Weather Service previously, and part of my job while I was at the National Weather Service was posting to social media, responding to comments, things like that. So that's where I got more involved in the social media side of things. Riley and his business with Harden Digital was growing at that point, and he was considering trying to bring somebody else on at least part time to help run some social media accounts. So I was like, you know what? I'll try it out, see how I like it since I'm already doing it for the National Weather Service some. So that's kind of how I got into more of the social media side of stuff. And then one of my former teaching assistants from college in my meteorology class has actually reached out to me over the summer of 2023, saying that the company he works for, it's like a forecast analytics company. Um, they were looking for somebody to run their social media, but they needed somebody who had a background in meteorology, but also a background in social media. So he reached out to me because he knew that I had done some of both. Um, and so we ended up partnering up, and I've been working with them for about 7 months now, and it's been going really well. It's been super fun to get back into some of the meteorology side of things, still doing social media, still working remotely, kind of have the freedom with my own schedule and that sort of stuff. So it's been really fun.
Yeah. So if you are listening or you know any companies that deal with weather and need help with their social media, we are the perfect combination of that. Um, you know, maybe 2024 is the year you work for your sister too.
Oh boy.
They own a weather consulting firm and they do it all on their own, are good at social media. So it's a joke. But um, so looking ahead, before we talk about kind of getting your thoughts on first full years being a social media manager and a freelancer in a way, um, looking ahead at 2024, what are some predictions or some hopes and some goals for you working with clients and creating content for clients?
Hopes, predictions, goals. Okay, there's a few things in there. I'll start out with some predictions first. Obviously, I think video content is still going to be the way to go going into 2024. It's just getting bigger and bigger. Um, I'm trying to convince more of the clients to jump on board of some of the trends, more of the trends. A lot of the clients think that with a professional business social media account, they just need to be super professional all the time. They need to just be focused on their business. But over the last few months, I found that trying out some of these trends, like with Anchor Health that I did, actually really boosted their engagement um, and activity, like on their social media accounts. So I'd like to try and get some more of those trends in with some other clients, just because it adds more of like a fun aspect. So it's not always super serious all the time, but it also makes them seem more relatable to the audience, like that they're not always just super serious professional. Like they do have a fun side. They're people too, and those videos bring it out more in them. So I would like to do that more in 2024. Obviously, I think those trends and everything are gonna continue. There's gonna be new ones all the time, so I don't think there's gonna be, like, a shortage of that type of content to do.
Yeah.
What was the other part?
Predictions, goals, hopes, plans, anything exciting?
So, for me, like, I do have some space to take on another social media client or 2. Um, and all the clients that I've worked with so far have been in, like, all completely different industries, so I don't, like, have one in particular that I'm searching for, but, weather-related stuff is pretty cool. Pickleball-related stuff, dog-related stuff, pretty cool. But I'm, open to anything. I feel like I'm a pretty quick learner, so when we do work with clients that are in fields that I'm not super familiar with, I do like to take some time to get to know them and their industry and, um, learn more about what they do to be able to properly describe it on social media, and, so it is cool to learn about other industries that way as well. So open to more of that as well, but also it's been really nice and helpful having the flexibility doing social media stuff, that I can do from anywhere or at any time. Like, sometimes I'm working until 11 o'clock at night because I'm not a morning person, so you won't see me up at 8 o'clock in the morning working. So that's been super beneficial, and when some family things have come up, it's been very nice to be able to be flexible and do what I need to do there, so continuing more of that in 2024. Yeah, I would
Yeah.
love to keep that.
One thing I've been thinking about is expanding. It's not necessarily expanding services, but branching out into the pickleball world. Obviously, we both play pickleball and are connected in different areas around central Indiana with the pickleball scene and offering content creation for pickleball players. There are some players that do take the social media aspect of pickleball seriously in terms of they're posting their pictures all the time, or there's some people that are more casual, but then there's some people like us who us personally who are have brand deals or partnerships that they supposed to be posting frequently on and need content created for them. Well, it's yeah, you can record videos of games from a tripod, but that's not really great social media content. But you see pickleball players with close-up videos and things like that of them actually playing all the time. And I think that's something that I mean, it's the same thing we're doing, but just pickleball.
Mhm,
So branching into that and, creating packages for you get X number of videos and we follow you for a couple games on a set like tournaments
mhm,
locally, just branching out and saying, "Hey, we'll come to this tournament that you're playing in. Most likely we'd be playing in it too." So just matching up schedules and we'll record and edit 5 different clips and then give you one longer video, and then you get to do whatever you want with it and post it on your own socials and charging a flat fee for that type of stuff. So, don't know the exact price structure or how to really put that all together, but it's been something I've been thinking about for a little bit. So that could be it's not the same. It's not a monthly thing. Well, unless we get like hired on by a pro or something, that'd be cool. But
that would be
no, but it'd be more just one-off type stuff where you make X amount each tournament and weekend because you have this many clients to go shoot video for. So um, I guess that might be one of my predictions or goals for 2024 is to expand on that side of the business and branch out there. But um, yeah, it all sounds good. The videos, I agree, is gonna continue to be big. So I'm finding ways to incorporate that more with some of our clients. It's harder when you're not in person creating content with them, but there's ways to do it that I found success. Recording Zoom videos or videos like this, even like the podcast, and creating shorter clips for social media specifically. So anything else for 2024 before we take a look back at 2023 one last time?
one. I would say one more prediction. So, or maybe a prediction I had in 2023 that didn't quite pan out yet, but I'm hoping. So, Threads, when that first launched, like, everybody jumped on it, right? Thought it was gonna be a huge Twitter alternative. but they took forever to release some features to it that made it more user friendly and what people were actually looking for. If they would have had those features, like, to begin with, I think it maybe would have caught on more than it has already. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's got, what, like, 130,000,000 some followers at least. I think they just opened it up to Europe, and they were expecting it to be more like 150,000,000, 160,000,000, um, which is still a lot. But they've recently, added some search features. They've, added, what do they call it now? It's not a hashtag, but
Just tagging.
just tagging, like, different topics. So you can search different topics to find other people that are interested in what you're talking about as well, which wasn't a thing before. So it was very hard to find people, like, in your niche that that you would like to follow and stuff on there. So as they've done more of that, I can see it being more like of a useful platform, maybe for some of our clients in the future, but I've tried it a little bit with a client so far, and we've gotten, like, nowhere with it. Um, so I don't know, we'll see. We'll see how that goes in 2024 if it kinda picks up more. Um
I'd say it's definitely picked up more. You just have to put more time into it than the other platforms. There's stretches where I go and I'm active on threads for a few days in a row, but you really have to be replying to other people and actually having conversations, which is good in terms of social media, but you can't just post and then not engage like you can with some of the other platforms.
Mhm.
You really have to be finding similar accounts, or I mean, for personal use, whatever you want to follow and engage with, but from the business standpoint, you have to find similar accounts and things like that to really be engaging and active to see growth. Like with the times that I'm engaged and responding and replying to people, I usually get a few followers out of it versus when I'm just posting my own thing and not really being active and engaging on the platform, I don't see any growth. So I think it's to that point already. It's just you have to put more time into it. Um,
Than some of the other platforms.
yeah,
Yeah.
than all of the other platforms.
Yeah.
I would say almost combined.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see. They're continuing to grow and build out the API for um, Threads, which would allow it to be used on like some of the social media software management software platforms that we use, which we use Vista Social, which is great. Everything we need, um, but there's just no integration yet for Threads for any of those different types of platforms. So
If there was, I think I'd be more inclined to trying it out more. And being more involved with it. Just because when I'm already posting on 3 or 4 other platforms for one business, having to individually go in on the app or on the web now, and post it, I don't know, it just takes longer and
yeah, but that goes back to what I was saying is you can't just post and be done.
right.
So like you have to actually be engaging in it. And like Vista Social, you can look and search and comment on stuff within
Mhm.
Vista Social and not go back and forth directly into the platforms. But um, yeah, I think it'll definitely get to that point in 2024 and be a true rival to Twitter and maybe not necessarily put it out of business, but it will be something that will continue to grow in 2024. So, um, looking back at your first year of being, I guess, full time freelancer, social media manager, um, how did you think it went?
So I thought it went really well. Obviously, there's always some ups and some downs. Like I said, I really enjoyed working with some clients. There's a couple that kinda stress me out a little bit,
Hmm.
but and then I have to dig a little deeper into but overall, I think it went really well. For as far as just me personally, I worked with 7 different social media clients in 2023, and between those clients I managed 20 different social media accounts between Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn. I think that's all of them. Um, So a lot of different accounts for a lot of different people. In doing that, I think, like I mentioned before, I really saw huge gains for Anchor Health, the chiropractic office, where they had over 1,000,000 impressions, in the last year, which was, like, a huge win for me. The other ones, combined were about, like, 500,000. So
Mhm.
just I mean, having a few of those videos go viral and getting more engagement, more followers from that can make a huge difference, obviously. But a lot of the companies and stuff and businesses that I work for are very local, like small businesses. So I'm not expecting like huge, a huge number of impressions or a huge number of followers or anything like that. So, um, but looking back at the statistics, on myself, I was pretty proud of where we all like, where all the businesses were compared to previous months, previous years. Um, I personally posted over 3,000 posts for clients in 2023, which I look back and I'm like, "That's a lot."
Mhm.
I didn't break it down to how many that averages per day, but that's a lot for one person, and that's just with the business stuff, not including all of my own social platforms. So I can't even imagine how much it was, if I include my own stuff, but 3,000 posts or more than 3,000 posts for 2023, yeah, that's a lot. So, I feel like I did a lot, but like I said, I still have some room where I could take on some more, clients like that. As far as, like, the freelancing stuff for me in 2023, obviously, like, I did the social media side of things and the forecast watch, side of stuff. Also coaching pickleball, like, 10 hours a week or so.
Yeah.
But, like, I have all these, like, interests, but this job still allows me to be able to do everything and just fit them in where I need to. So, looking back at 2023, I don't know, I really enjoyed it, so
Good. What was your biggest challenge?
biggest challenge? I would say I had a challenge with I'm not gonna name anybody, but, like, one client in particular, it was in a field or an industry that I really knew nothing about. Um, Obviously, there are some safety things that go along with it on their job sites that kind of prevented some of this from happening, but I wasn't really able to get in with the business and, like, tag along and learn more about the industry to be able to create better posts for them and get better content for them.
Mhm.
So I kind of just had to work with what I had, with some photos, like, that they were sending, or videos that they were sending that sometimes were good, sometimes weren't, and I had to make the best of it and try and come up with a caption based off of a photo that had a machine doing something I knew nothing about. And trying to get information like that was kinda like pulling teeth. So that was a bit frustrating. We did figure it out a little bit to work better, together, but that's, like, one of the clients where I'm, like, sending the draft posts every week, and they had changes every week, that I would post stuff, or they would have, like, say, "Oh, this was great this week," so then I would mimic the same thing for the following week, thinking that that would be good also, but it wasn't, so it's just working with different people in different industries, just never know how it's gonna go, especially when it's not an industry that I'm super familiar with and also can't really get my feet in there and get my hands dirty and actually learn more about it myself. I personally learn better when I can do it that way.
Mhm.
So that was probably my biggest challenge of the year.
Um, yeah, it's something it it's normal for any new client that we work with to have that period of learning and trying to figure out what they do and really get ingrained because we want the voice of the social media post to sound authentic. We don't want it to be obvious that somebody who's outside of the business is posting because they're posting stuff that doesn't make sense to that business at all. So there's definitely a learning curve, and sometimes it's smoother, sometimes it's not. That's nothing new to you specifically. It's happened to me before several times, so it's just part of the the industry and the work that we do. So, um, I guess the takeaway there is, if you're listening and you are a business, is um, when we're trying to get more involved and learn more, it's not necessarily because we don't know what we're doing in terms of creating content. It's just it we need to learn more about the business specifically to ultimately be better for you, right? You're paying us to do something and we want it to be as good as possible. And it just takes time to learn and work. And um, yeah, it's different if it's a company that's going out and doing projects and performing services versus somebody that's just sitting in the office, where we can come sit in the office and do stuff. And like Anchor Health is just all one location. It's simple in that terms versus going out and traveling and being on job sites and things like that. So um, definitely, it is a complication and sticking point with some new clients, and it's a hardship. But sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and that's just how it goes.
And
But
that's why we like to do the 90 days. Like, sometimes people come in the first week or 2 and be like, you guys don't know what you're doing." It's because we haven't learned anything about you yet. So give us a couple months to get our feet under us and learn more about you. Um, and usually by the end of, our initial contract period, we typically have a really good feel for what you're looking for. Um, but it also is kind of like a trust factor, and for us, like, you're hiring us because you don't have time for it, you don't know what you're doing with it, whatever. You want our professional opinions on what we should do. So it kind of just frustrates me. Is a big challenge for me when people come in and then tell me what I should do when I think, when I've been doing this for a while and I know that something else could work better for them. Just That's been a little bit of a challenge.
yeah. Any other thoughts from 2023 before we wrap up?
I don't know. I feel like I've talked about a lot of the big points.
Yeah.
But like I said, I've enjoyed working with all the clients that I've had in 2023. Still working with them going into 2024. So looking forward to another great year with everybody, and hopefully bringing on some new clients to work with as well, and hopefully helping them in their businesses or nonprofits along the way.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Hannah, thanks for joining me again. I'm sure it'll be more of a monthly occurrence now, with our renewed effort to put out more content from our business standpoint, from Harden Digital and Design. So this will not be the last of Hannah for a while. She'll be back on shortly. But again, thanks everybody for tuning in. If you do like watching your podcast on YouTube more than just listening to them, you can go to youtube.com/at Harden Digital and subscribe there. And no matter what platform you're listening on, be sure to subscribe, like, and follow the podcast so that every time we do post an episode, you will be notified and it'll pop up in your favorite podcast playing app, whether that's Apple, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube, whatever it may be. So, um, thanks again, Hannah, for joining us. And I will see all of you next week on the next episode of the Digital Wrap Up.